So for this project, I will be doing the Espresso Granita. I'm going to use 100% French roast ground coffee, Great Value brand, and Great Value granulated sugar, heavy whipping cream for the whipped cream, honey, an orange and lemon, which I'll use for the zest, and then I have 3 different flavors of Bailey's that I'll be adding. Okay, so I have one of these. So I don't like to use K-cups because it does take up a lot of plastic. So I like to fill my already ground coffee with these. And that is how I will be roasting my coffee today. So I need 2 cups of this. So I'm going to use a measuring cup and then just continue to brew until I have 4 cups. So I'm going to make 2 different ways. One, I'm going to use a cup of sugar, and then the other one I'm going to put honey in instead. I'm also going to try to make it taste a little different, so I'm using vanilla Bailey's in one, and then salted caramel in another. And then I'm going to zest my lemon and my orange and mix everything together and then put them into the fridge. For this recipe, the amount and type of sugar is going to be the key ingredient that controls the texture of the final product. So we want our sugar concentration to be between 15 and 20% sugar. And when I add this Kahlua, it will actually increase the sugar and also decreasing the freezing point because of the alcohol. Okay, so for this batch, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of honey. Honey is going to have smaller molecules than table sugar, which will then lower the freezing point, therefore creating smaller ice crystals and basically making a better texture. So just like I mentioned before, how sugar decreases the freezing point, the addition of alcohol is actually going to lower that as well, which will then increase the freezing time, therefore making it more difficult to freeze our granita. All right, so I let this cool for about an hour, and I'm taking the temperature of it right now. It's at 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to put this into a flatter pan and then wait about 15 minutes and then stir it. I'll take the temperature then as well. So granitas are going to be coarse ices, but we don't want the flavor to separate from the ice crystals. So the stirring time is going to be pretty crucial to the final product that we get, and I started with 15 minutes. So it's been 15 minutes, as you can see. Very minimal ice crystals have started to form for this one, and almost no ice crystals has started to form for this one. So I'm going to keep doing it every 15 minutes with a fork just to create, some texture and make sure that all of the flavoring is fluid throughout so I don't get large ice crystals or large ice cubes. All right, so I kept a thermometer in here and I'm going to see if it changes throughout, and it's at 40 degrees Fahrenheit right now. I don't see any ice crystal formation. And basically I'm just gonna start stirring every 15 minutes. As you can see, even after 45 minutes of freezing at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, there is no ice crystal formation. Oops, I accidentally dropped it in there. But this is because of the sugar content as well as the alcohol content. So even at a freezing temperature, it's not going to form any ice crystals. All right, so I'm going to make my whipped cream. Just going to use the whole thing. So originally I started to follow the book that said to stir it every 15 minutes, but I slowly realized that it was cooling down really, really slowly, so I started to stir it every hour. And this actually started to help because my kitchen was not only hot, but it also allowed for the freeze to happen quicker. So since my house is extremely hot, I decided to stop taking it in and out of the freezer. It's been in there for about 3 hours and it is still not completely frozen. So I'm using a flashlight so you can see it completely. But I believe this is because of the alcohol. I think there's just a little bit too much alcohol. So I'm going to keep stirring it every 30 minutes. And I have been for the past 3 hours every 30 minutes. So hopefully these will start to crystallize and, you know, become more of an ice cream. All right, so as you can see, it's not fully frozen. There's still a little bit of water left or liquid left. But definitely large ice crystals. You can even see them glistening. But the taste is really delicious. Even just a little bit of lemon zest creates a lot of flavor. And I really like that. So I'm gonna whip my whipped cream. Okay, so I've kept my honey batch in the refrigerator for about 5 hours. And since it is so hot in my house, I tried to keep opening my refrigerator door or my freezer door, very limited. So it's still not completely frozen, but this one has been in for about 6.5 hours. Like I mentioned before, the addition of honey versus table sugar is going to decrease the freezing point even more so than it already does. So the reason that my right batch was a little bit soupier, or I guess you could say less frozen, was because of the addition of honey. For this reason, I thought that my batch with the table sugar tasted better. If I had let the honey batch freeze a little bit more, my outcomes could have been a little bit different. All right, so I got my whipped cream whipped up, got some nice peaks, and I'm going to top off my Granita with a little dollop.